I'm Shona Martyn and I'm the CEO of the Walkley Foundation, and I'm thrilled to be hosting this information session regarding an exciting journalism opportunity for young folk looking to get their foot in the door in the exciting world of broadcast journalism. The Jacoby-Walkley Scholarship was founded 10 years ago by award-winning producer and journalist Anita Jacoby in honor of her father, Philip Jacoby. And it's an opportunity like no other. From 60 Minutes, Sunday to today, Anita has forged a strong and illustrious career with the Nine Network. So it seems only fitting that this scholarship secures the winner an intensive work placement at the network. In addition to the placement at Nine in Sydney, the scholarship recipient will also receive a $12,500 stipend, 4 mentoring sessions, and $1,000 to use towards an afters short course. That's the Australian Film, Television and Radio School. So you can learn about podcasting, for example. In addition to the placement at Nine, I've done that bit. We're thrilled to have Anita with us today to talk about the scholarship and its history. We're also joined by news satirist and current Jacoby-Walkley judge, Dan Ilic. Dan will explain what we're looking for in a successful applicant and who is eligible to apply. And finally, we have the 2022 Jacoby-Walkley Scholarship winner, Amelia Hirst, with us. There's Amelia waving. Through the scholarship, Amelia has secured a producer's position at Nine's A Current Affair in Melbourne, an opportunity rarely available for a recent journalism graduate. So congratulations on that, Amelia. Yeah, it's a great achievement, and certainly proof that this scholarship really pays dividends. So, first of all, let me start with a question for you, Anita. When did you realise that you wanted to work in the media, and how did that journey lead you to your career at Nine?
Well, Shona, first of all, thank you for hosting this session, and thank you to the Walkley Foundation and to Dan and Amelia to be on board, and hi to everyone. I actually developed a passion for journalism from about the age of 15. I used to sit around talking about all these big world issues with my father when I was very young, and it just prompted me to want to jump on a plane and go and tell stories all over the world, which of course I was fortunate in my career to be able to do. And when I left school, I tried to pursue a career in journalism. I went to regional television. I set up a small production company. I created some television, and I ended out at Channel 9 as the my first job at Channel 9 was supervising producer of the Today Show, which means I was 2IC of the breakfast show that you see now. And I will just say one thing about breakfast shows. It's live television. It's like a high wire act. It couldn't be better training for a young broadcast journalist.
That's certainly true. So your award-winning career has partnered you with some of the biggest names in Australian television, including, of course, Andrew Denton. How did those experiences and contacts forge your career and passion for journalism?
Well, what's not to like when you could jump on a plane and go and do interviews with Sir David Attenborough, Bill Clinton, Muhammad Yunus, who set up the Grameen Bank. I could go off and tell stories about the backpacker murder case with Ivan Milat. I could do big investigative stories when I worked at 60 Minutes. I think journalism allows you, it's a passport to the world. It allows you to understand human beings a lot more and to tell stories. And I love being a storyteller. And what better way than working with people like Andrew Denton, or when I worked at 60 Minutes with a lot of the key reporters, or Liz Hayes or George Negus. Or I've been very fortunate in my career to work with some extremely talented people and who allowed me to tell the kind of stories that I wanted to tell.
And it's wonderful that you can pass that experience on.
Totally.
No. I mean, certainly the Jacoby-Walkley Scholarship is without doubt one of the most outstanding opportunities for young journalists wanting to get into broadcast media. So how did the idea come about, and what are the opportunities that you see it presents?
Well, look, this broadcasting and journalism has been really good to me. And so I've always thought that I needed to put back something into the industry. And about 10 years ago, well, it was 10 years ago, we founded the scholarship through the Walkley Foundation. And I founded it actually in the memory of my father, who was a founder of communications here in Australia. And because he was pre-social media, nobody would know about him. Whereas today, everybody's an influencer and you know everybody through social media. So we established a scholarship. It's 14 weeks. It's with it's with nine television, radio, digital, and also print. So you get a cross section of all those skills. You get 14 weeks working there. You get a month at 60 Minutes. You get a week at the Today Show, a week at a current affair, a week on the news. You can work on radio. You also get a course through the Australian Film, Television and Radio School, which is my old alma mater. I did a course there. And of course, you get to work with the Walkley Foundation on the Walkley Awards, which is the premier journalism awards. And you get to meet those fabulous people that are actually on the board of the Walkleys. You get to work with Shona and her team. It's the most amazing opportunity, and you get a stipend. So what's not to like about it?
That's very true. There's obviously, on a more serious topic, there's a lot of misinformation and fake news. This is something that concerns all of us in journalism.
Yes.
Why do you see journalism today is so important, and what should people coming into the media industry be preparing themselves for?
Well, I've had a lot of experience with misinformation and disinformation because of another role that I've got in the media industry. But it's so important in a democratic society that we have really strong journalism. I mean, you've got to keep people informed about what's happening in the world. In my experience, it's always been follow the money, which tells you a lot about somebody's motivation for why they're doing or saying what they're doing. And so to me, journalism is at the heart of a democratic society. So as journalists, when you go into that industry, you're going to be part of that democratic process. And that's a really exciting thing to be embracing.
Yeah, such important work. And it's also, as this proves, something that you can actually, where you can make a difference, and at a relatively young age, which I think is, one of the things that all of us who started as young journalists really realize. When you get to the coalface, you're actually there, you're reporting, you're reporting to the public. And I think that's an incredible privilege.
It is. And I was just going to add one more thing. I mean, it's all about ideas.
Yeah.
And I mean, you get into an industry where you're replaced by computers and all the rest of it. Journalism can never be replaced by any computers or AI or whatever, because it's all about the ideas that you come up with and the chasing of talent and the rest of it. It's such an exciting industry to be in.
And the journalist's eye and interpretation,
Correct.
which is something that's not being mirrored by AI yet.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So great opportunities.
Yeah, great opportunity indeed. Thanks, Anita. Dan, you've been on the judging panel for the Jacoby-Walkley Scholarship, and you've also got your own broad-ranging career in the media. So how did you become involved in this scholarship, and how valuable do you think it is?
Oh, look, well, let me tell you, I got involved because one of my great mentors and leaders in my career has been Anita Jacoby, who shepherded a large part of my career from about 10 years ago when we worked on a TV show called Hungry Beast. Anita was one of the bright lights and the guiding hands to make sure we were on the right track with the kind of stories we were creating.
Thank you, Dan. I'm paying you well, aren't I?
My first job at Nine was in the comedy department. I worked for the Funniest Home Videos show on in the same cottage as the Sunday program and 60 Minutes. So I would see it, Anita Jacoby stomp through the cottage at Channel 9 and tell people what's what, and also huge luminaries in journalism would walk through that cottage, and everyone at Australia's Funniest Home Videos knew just exactly who the most important people were in that cottage, and it was the journalists. It was the people who told the stories, who went and found the stories and told the stories. And I've been lucky enough to be a judge on this panel for about 5 years, since about 2019. And my journalistic experience stems back from when I first worked at Fairfax as a video journalist, covering things like the Afghanistan war and going to America to cover red carpets with other famous Australians, as well as breaking huge stories like the death of Heath Ledger. We scooped that for Fairfax back in the day. So it was a pretty wild ride back when no one knew anything about video journalism on the internet, but we were just kind of making it up, which is why a scholarship like this now when digital journalism in particular, or journalism all over in particular, is kind of so well developed to kind of be able to jump in straight from being a graduate or someone who's keen on journalism to take a guided tour about how the different formats are created, how different structures get stories to air, about how to find those great stories, how to about finding great talent. If someone was that with me, I would have to. I mean, back in 2006, when I first started being a journalist, I would have just loved it. Would have been great. But instead, I was kind of thrown in the deep end, which is also, that's part of the journey. But this is an amazing experience because you get to work with the best of the best at the most high profile areas in Australian journalism. And you get to, if you're a curious person, if you're a person that loves stories, that loves talent, that loves asking questions, this is going to be a great format for you because you'll be able to not only find ways to increase those skills as a journalist, but also learn how to work within the format of the best of the best in traditional news media. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, journalism is very much a career that you learn so much on the job. So being catapulted into the 9 newsrooms is, such a great opportunity. And eavesdropping, when I was a young journalist, I just loved listening in and hearing what those senior journalists were talking about. And this really takes you right in there so that you're
particularly in the lifts. If you can get in the lift with the senior journalists, so that's the place for a quick pitch. Pretty pitch right there.
Now, putting your judge's hat on now, what are the key things that you look for when you're assessing the scholarship submissions?
Honestly, we are looking for great yarns well told, looking for people who are curious about the world. We want to find people who are trying to express something that not many people know. I want to learn something when I'm reading through the packet. Something that makes me go, wow, I didn't know that, or wow, that is a new take on that, or wow, how come we not hearing about this story in the mainstream media? If you've got a great nose for a story, this is definitely something you want to apply for because you are basically trying to entertain some of Australia's best brains on journalism. So you've got to have a great story and be curious. We're looking for curiosity and storytelling. That's the fundamentals.
Now, for those who are lucky enough to get into the final round of this, there's actually an interview process. Would you like to tell people a little bit about that?
It's really great. We make people close their eyes and touch their nose with their eyes closed, and there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. No, not at all. It's a very fun process. I don't know about you, Anita, but I love the interviews because not only do we get to put faces to names, but we also get to see just how enthusiastic people are for the art of storytelling, just how curious people are, and just how excited they are to kind of work within the broadcast medium as well. And that's
I totally get that. I love seeing up and coming, people right on the cusp of actually creating a career, and then seeing that journey as they actually blossom once they've got that job. It's amazing. It's a great experience.
And also the names that we meet in those interviews are people that we see around now, like we see in the media industry now. Like there's a young guy called Jack Nyhoff. He was the lead at Ticker News after he went through the judging process and then went on to work for SCA and Nine anyway. There's a young bloke called William Johnson. He was a big Newcastle journo, really sniffing out stories around Williamtown. Super interesting character and is still writing stories today. And then Zathia Bazir, who is now a news cadet at ABC News. And she actually won the JNI, Judith Neilson Institute and Walkley Scholarship after she applied for the Jacoby Scholarship. She scored so high that, people at the Walkers were like, hey, you know what, you should probably apply for this one. And just so, and then there's people who've received the awards, not only people like Amelia, who we've got on the line here, but superstars like Amber Schultz at Crikey. She is one of the most powerful journalists working in media today. And she probably won that in 2019, 2018.
Yes, she did.
It's only been a short career for her, and she's one of the icons in Australian journalism right now.
Yeah.
Well, in actual fact, I think she's just moved to Nine. So
has she? Oh my gosh!
Exactly.
Well, there you go.
She's definitely
working on the Sun Herald.
Yeah.
She's actually got a job as on the Sun Herald.
Yeah, so
Excellent.
this is all very exciting, but look, it shows how quickly your career can progress. Now, people are working on their applications at the moment. I can look in our computer system and see that there's a lot in train. So if you're one of those people, what can we tell them to make their application stand out? What are the real top tips from both of you, Dan and Anita?
Look, I don't know about you, Anita, but I'm quite happy to not read an application that says, I want to read the 6 o'clock bulletin. Like that's, if your application doesn't say that, you're off to a great head start. So if you've put that in your application, just, delete the words Peter Overton out of the first sentence and just tell us about what you're curious about. Tell us about the stories. Tell us about the yarns. That's what we want to hear. What drives your passion as a storyteller?
Yes, I agree, Dan. It's all about storytelling. It's what I went back to in the beginning. It's about the ideas that you want to pursue and the reasons why you'd want to tell them. I would give one hint, though. Please, no spelling mistakes. I mean, to me, I'm a pedant. Accuracy is everything. So when I see spelling mistakes or bad English, I think, not off to a great start.
And look, to me, it doesn't matter because I'm dyslexic. So, whatever, what you won't score down from me. You won't score down.
Yes, but Anita's on the panel too. So
and let me tell you, Anita's name's on the award, so she's got a lot to say. Yeah.
That's true. Now, Amelia, how did you first hear about the Jacoby-Walkley Scholarship?
Well, hello, everybody, and thanks, Shona, again for organising it, and Anita and Dan. Lovely to see you guys again. I always knew, similar to Anita, that I always wanted to do journalism, and I made it very clear throughout my university degree that broadcast was where I wanted to end up. And I'd made a lot of great relationships with my tutors and my lecturers, and luckily they had my back as well and continued to encourage me. And it was actually a tutor who had seen the email from the Walkley Foundation advertising the scholarship, and he just said, I think you should apply for this. I think you've got a good chance, and even if you don't get it, it's just a great experience to go through. So I actually have to credit it to my university lecturer. He helped me out a lot.
So now tell us about your experience then at Nine. What happened?
Well, it was definitely a whirlwind. I'm actually a Melbourne girl, so I moved up to Sydney for the experience. I started off in the social media team on my first week, and then I moved to news. And luckily enough in news, I was able to attend the Chris Dawson verdict, which was just, as somebody who listened to the podcast and was heavily invested in that, that was just, I couldn't have asked for anything more. As a true crime junkie, I was heavily invested in that case and I loved it. I then moved to the Today Show and again had an amazing experience there. And on my last day, actually, the Queen passed away on my Friday on the last day. So again, had a massive day in the newsroom and got to actually produce my own segments for that at that point, because I'd had enough experience by then that they trusted me and they gave me the opportunity to actually produce, which was great. From there, I had 2 weeks at a current affair, and as the Queen had just passed, it was a little bit of an odd time in the newsroom because everybody had gone overseas to cover stories over there. So again, they said, this is kind of the perfect opportunity for you to have a bit of extra time really to work on some stories, call some talent, dig out some yarns that you think are worth it, and I guess chase and see if anything can come of it. And luckily I was able to work with 2 of the current affair reporters and some of the producers over there as well, and put up 2 stories by the end of my 2 weeks and write some online copy for that as well, which was great. And then I spent a month at 60, as Anita said, is part of the scholarship as well. So got to work alongside some of the senior producers there. And actually, I've been watching the show recently, and some of the stories I was working on back in September, October last year have now only been going to air now. So it's amazing to see that. It's amazing to see that something that you worked on, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago is now going to air now. And I think that just shows how I guess you have to do your due diligence as a journalist and make sure that you put in the time and effort, and then it will get to air eventually. But it was an amazing experience. And I think, as Dan was saying, you're in the elevator with some pretty high up journalists, and there's your opportunity there to talk to them and I guess pick their brain. And ask the questions that you've always wanted to know but never been able to, get that firsthand experience from people like them. And it was just an amazing experience. And for anybody who's listening today, please apply for it, because it's honestly changed my career already in a very short period of time. And I know that I wouldn't actually be where I am today in Melbourne for a current affair without it. So it's been amazing.
Well, thank you for explaining that. If you haven't been convinced, if you were dithering, I think Amelia has surely convinced you. But it does show you about what opportunity comes up. I mean, obviously the Queen's death and major court cases, you can never predict what's going to happen when you're working in a newsroom. But as a young journalist starting out, what you can be assured is during your time at Nine, really significant things will happen, and you're going to be there, as history is made. And you can, you'll also be given the opportunity to sort of look for your own stories. And Amelia exemplifies the best in a young journalist for taking that opportunity. Now, Amelia, I still feel sure that the folk out there, though, really want to know some more tips from you, because clearly I think we can be pretty confident, and having seen your work at the Walkley Foundation, I know you can spell, and I know you're extremely organised. So those things obviously were things that came through in your interview. But what tell us about the process for you, and particularly the interview part of it, because I know that can be a bit scary.
Yeah, I'll definitely attest to that. It was quite terrifying in the lead up. And I remember shaking a little bit, like I was a little bit nervous having to hold my hands, because I was wanting to make a good impression, as anybody would be doing at that point. And also I really wanted it by that point. So I think it showed that I just really cared about it.
That's a good point, Amelia. That's a really good point. Saying you really want it, we want to help people who really want it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you always hear that nerves are good, but it's definitely true. And I think that you've almost got to harness that to your advantage. And so if, show that you really want it, and be personable and be yourself and be confident, in the stories that you want to tell and the direction you want to go. Don't second guess it. So, for me, I knew I wanted to go into broadcast. So I made that very, very clear in my interview. I knew the stories I wanted to tell. I knew the journalist that I aspired to be like, and I made that very clear as well. So I had I had an idea of, I guess, what I wanted my future to look like. And so I used that in the interview. But I think throughout the whole process, it's just being true to yourself. So I know everybody says it and it's a cliche, but really, I think the judges will see through if you're trying to say something that they want you to say, not what you actually, what you, I guess, really mean. So be yourself. As I said, be confident in your abilities, and don't worry if you don't have a lot of experience as well, because I can speak for myself personally. I didn't have a whole lot of industry experience coming into this, but it's a perfect opportunity to gain that experience, that firsthand interactions with people in the newsroom, and then build from there.
And what about the written part of the application? Obviously, people are working on that now. What did you do in yours?
Yeah, definitely. So yes, grammar and spelling definitely is somebody who's a little bit, I guess, OCD. I checked it about 60 times, I think, before I submitted, and got my parents to check it as well, because I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. I think with my application, I know you can submit some work for it. And so I tried to choose different formats of what I'd done. So I submitted a podcast, I submitted a package I put together just throughout my university degree, and I also submitted a written online story as well. So I tried to be diverse and show that I'm able to, I guess, apply my skills and my knowledge to different platforms. But I also chose stories that were, slightly different to each other as well, to show that I've got a keen interest in a few different areas. So yeah, and I think as well in the written, it's really hard because you're not having that interview with somebody. So you've got to try and get over, I guess, through words, how much it means to you, how excited you are, how passionate you are and eager you are to make it in the industry, and be personable as well. So I did include, things about my life away from journalism too, to try and make, people who are reading it on the other side or in another state connect to me as a person.
Now, perhaps we've got some questions coming in. First one from Debbie. We'll keep on with you first of all, Amelia. So, in your current job, what are you actually doing?
Yeah, so I have luckily just been offered a full-time position as a producer in the Melbourne offices for A Current Affair. So as part of my role,
That
yeah,
is
yes,
amazing.
which I'm, thank you. So I'm very excited about that. So what I do kind of on a daily basis is I'm finding stories and pitching stories, working with my other producers in the newsroom and my bureau chief as well, and collating different stories that we'll chase. Then I'm contacting talent, finding talent, a lot of the time going through a lot of social media pages to try and find talent, calling them, checking that they're good talent as well, because that's a big thing in television. And I guess trying to nut out who we want to pursue and who we perhaps just won't use for that time being. And then it's working with our amazing reporters and ensuring that they've got a clear idea about what the story is, working with them to ensure that I'm helping them in the best way that they need. And obviously I'm still getting used to that and still learning that day by day. But it's then working with our graphics team and our editors. So luckily, I'm kind of allowed to be involved from the very beginning of a story to the very end, and sometimes even writing online copy as well for those stories. So yeah, it's been an amazing experience, and everything I did in the scholarship obviously has kind of helped prepare me for this.
Yeah. Thank you. We've got a question from John too. John says, "Hi Anita, first of all, I've followed your career for many years and you've been a huge inspiration for me to chase a career in media. I noticed the age limit has been increased this year. How come?"
We thought it was a good idea. I think we collectively thought, why not push it a bit older and give more people an opportunity? And we're also, actually, I'm glad it's from John. I'm very keen also because we tend to get a lot of females, which is great. But we'd like to encourage more male. We just want more diversity in the applications, and so that's why we've increased the age, and we just want to give more people an opportunity. And when I listen to Amelia, I can't tell you, I'm sitting here like a proud shook, listening to what you're saying and how you've scored this incredible job as a producer on A Current Affair. In my day, you would never have got that opportunity. It was really hard yards, and you've done your hard yards and you're going to do your hard yards, but you've got that great opportunity to get in there. So I'm sorry, I digress, John, but I think we just felt it was good to increase the age to 32, give more people an opportunity.
And also, I think when we were discussing this, we were very mindful of the disruptions of COVID, and, people have had to take longer doing degrees or, all of those things that have impacted people. So I hope that we do see more diversity coming through in the applications. And blokes, come on, look, proud feminist that I am, I do know that there are very many excellent men out there who could be applying. So,
Look, as someone that's been on the judging panel for 5 years, I can tell you that there are a lot of good blokes that come through, but just not as many. It's just not enough fellas apply. So that's just the disparaging part there, John. Like if you notice in your question about mostly women have won in the past, it's just because mostly women have applied. So
you've got to be in to win. And so come on, guys, let's redress the balance. Now, we've also got a question from an anonymous attendee, rather exciting, who's got a quick question for Amelia. Did you get really good grades at uni? I love journalism and want to get into this industry, and this scholarship sounds amazing.
I've always been somebody who is, I guess, a bit more on the academic side. So I loved university. I knew I wanted to do journalism as well, which obviously helps in doing the assignments and all of that. So yes, I did do, I don't want to sound, I guess, at all up myself at all, but I did do well, but I worked hard for it as well. And I think that, having that hard work ethic is something that has prepared me for the amount of hard work that I'm doing now, because it's not an easy industry. It is a lot of work, and it's a lot of, I guess, behind the scenes work that sometimes doesn't get credited, which is totally fine and understandable. But I think having that hard work ethic and taking my university seriously, because I really wanted journalism as well. So I did it as a bit of a trial and said, I'm going to give this my all, because if I do well at this, then hopefully there will be something that leads me into the industry I want to go into.
And can I ask you, Amelia, sorry, can I just ask you, I remember when you won the award and we presented it to you that night, and your dad, who's a physiotherapist, was there, was so proud of you. Does he now understand what you're doing in journalism?
Yes, he's getting to understand it. He definitely challenges me on my stories and always pushes me to do certain stories that he wants me to do. But no, he's getting to understand it. Obviously, I didn't come from a family of journalists, so it's very new for my whole family, brothers included. But they're excited for me, and they're happy because I'm happy. So I come home and I'm, wanting to talk about what I've done for the day and the stories I'm working on. So I think they understand it in that sense.
Amelia, do you ask your dad for hot tips on dodgy physiotherapists?
No, I haven't yet, Dan. I'll have to.
To the anonymous attendee, I'm more of a P's get degrees kind of fellow, and you can put your GPA in your application if you want. It won't really matter in terms of your application. Like, we want to see the quality of your stories, the curiosity of your brain, the ideas that you're presenting in your application. So if you've got good ideas, but your GPA is low, don't worry about it. Like, it's not a big deal. We want to hear a great story. Tell us a great yarn.
Yeah. Now we've got another question. Here's one from Ellen. Ellen, where is your question? Ellen's question's fallen away, so I'll temporarily have Annabelle's question. So perhaps, Ellen, you could type your question in again. Hi, Amelia. I noticed that one of your submissions has to be a video story, which isn't something we've attempted yet in my course. What was the process for you in creating the video submission? And to the judges, what level of production quality are you expecting for the video submission? I'm a little nervous as I've never made a video story before.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start, if you don't mind, Anita and Dan. But I luckily I had a video submission throughout my university degree, but I will say it was all self-filmed, self-edited, put together all by myself. So I think as well, luckily these days our phones are great, and you can get great quality on a phone. So don't be shy, I guess, to put your phone up somewhere and just do, a little short piece to camera. Film everything on your phone. Your phone is great these days. The quality is there right in your palm of your hand. So use that to your advantage. And, you don't need to have the best quality equipment to tell the best story. Obviously, when you get later in life, that helps. But for this, they're just wanting to see, as Dan said, your curious mind, the quality of your story. It doesn't matter about the quality of the actual production of it. So just go out there and film and give it a go. And don't be shy. Just try and be yourself and try and tell the best story possible.
That is bang on, Amelia. That's exactly what I was going to say. If you've got a phone, you can make a video and tell us a great story. That's it. We won't even mind if the sound's a bit dodgy. We want to know if the story is exciting.
And surprise us with your storytelling. I think I'm always interested in being stories that are probably a bit left of center or unexpected are always good stories as well. And Dan and Amelia are absolutely right. Your phone is everything.
In fact, Kathy, following on with the question here, is there a requirement to record pieces to camera if I get shortlisted, and what would I have to do?
Dan, do you want to do that?
It's not required, but it is part of the way of kind of getting us to know you is by presenting yourself to us in a video message, and that's part of the whole deal. This is a broadcast journalism scholarship, so we want to see what you look and sound like as a broadcast journalist. Can you connect with us as people on the other end of a screen? So it's certainly something we definitely encourage, and if not as a video, but certainly as audio. We want to hear you, see you, get to know you, and that's a great way to do that. It's a great way to kind of introduce yourself to us, particularly if you're not excellent at the written word. If you're a talker, we love talkers.
We can see you're a talker, Dan.
Yeah, totally.
Now, luckily, Ellen has got over her computer glitch, and she's got a question for Anita. Anita, I understand you have a long history with Nine, but why was the Nine the preferred choice for this scholarship? Is it to do with how many publications and outlets are under its umbrella?
No, not traditionally. Initially, when this scholarship started, it was just the Nine network. So it was a broadcast scholarship. And I guess because a lot of my heritage was at Nine, I worked at 60 Minutes for a long time. I worked on Sunday, I worked on the Today Show and some other shows. So I originally spoke to the Walkley Foundation about getting a scholarship with 60 Minutes. And then we actually made it with Nine overall. And that's why we settled on Nine. And in the intervening years, Nine has obviously, bought Fairfax and it's amalgamated, and so now you've got the print division, you've got radio with 9 Radio, and then you've got broadcasting and you've got digital. That wasn't available 10 years ago, but it is now, and that's a great opportunity for anybody. Absolutely.
Yes, Nine's expansion.
Yes.
Nine's expansion has really strengthened the opportunity and the diversity of experience.
That's right. That's right.
Now we're back to we're nearly wrapping up, but we've got another question from anonymous attendee. I'm not sure whether if it's the same original anonymous attendee or anonymous attendee too, but they would like to know, what kind of training do you get at Nine? Is it just broadcast?
Well, it's the whole lot, everything from the beginning to the end of a story. So not only broadcasting, writing, as Amelia said, she's working on 1,000 different things for a current affair right now. Yeah, anything that requires any kind of producing or writing to get a story to air. That is the whole gamut. You get to touch a story from the very start to the end.
Sorry, Dan, I was just going to jump in. Sorry to interrupt you. I was also going to say, because Nine is now radio and because it's print and because it's digital, broadcast is a component of it, but there will be opportunities to actually work in other areas of Nine. So I think you need to appreciate that the scholarship is a fabulous opportunity to get a foot in the door at Nine, and that then opens up opportunities that are above and beyond broadcast as well. Sorry, and I know I jumped in.
And above it, and it'll broaden your opportunities if Nine is not a home for you as well. Like if you do this scholarship for 3 months, it's going to look favorably upon any employer in the big journalism game.
And I'd say, if you apply and you get to the final rounds and you don't actually end up being the lucky winner, the whole experience will stand you in good stead in applying for future roles in journalism. This is a really great opportunity, even if you're not the lucky winner.
Yeah,
now,
I can tell you, as someone that's been on the judging panel for a few years, quite often we've got Anita, myself, and
Jenny Brocky.
Yeah, Jenny Brocky and folks from Nine executive team. We go, that person might not get this scholarship, but I'm going to make a call and see if there's a room for them on the intern team of this show. I know executive producer that's looking after someone who really use that skill set that this person has. So, just by making it into the interview and us getting to know you better, that can just open up the smallest door to something big for you.
Now, we've got one final question, and it's for you, Dan, from Alan.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, Alan would like to know if you, Dan, had access to a program like this when you were younger or finished your studies.
No, I didn't. It's a travesty. What's going on? How do I get a time machine back and do this?
Too late now.
No, I got a job on Funniest Home Videos as an associate producer, and I couldn't even hack it there. And then I became a video editor at Fairfax, and then by becoming a video editor at Fairfax for the newspaper, I ended up becoming a journalist. So it kind of was a sideways step, and it was one of those things where there was no real formal way to kind of get the experience you need to kind of become a journalist. You just kind of fell into it. So I was lucky enough to take a very sideways step and find the art of storytelling through editing fitness videos for Fairfax at the time. And then I became a journalist because they needed people. And then Fairfax also allowed me to fund my satire as well. I'm a satirist, and in the very early days, I was doing satirical comedy videos for smh.com.au and The Age. So it was a magical time in those early days. So there was no real formal way that I managed to get into there, but I was fresh out of uni and kind of fell into it that way. But this is a really special prize, like to be able to work with the team at 60, to work across multidisciplines across the Nine company is fantastic.
There are many ways into journalism, as Dan's story has also attested, but this is definitely one of the best of them. So look, it's time to wrap up. So I'd like to first of all thank Anita for her generosity and commitment in terms of giving back to the industry and having given opportunities to so far 9 applicants, and now coming up for the 10th. This is tremendous. So if you're out out there, get back onto that computer, you know, only 2 more weeks to go. But thank you also to Dan. It often demystifies the judging process if you know, see the judges and, you know, there's 2 of you here talking about what they're looking for.
And if you're in my judging session, we'll crack a few jokes. We know, fun, you know, we'll have a good time.
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. Although you will be scared, as Amelia said. And I'd really like to once again congratulate Amelia, but also thank her for her honesty today. I think she's given a lot of insights, but also really shown the opportunities that are there for the making. So I would encourage everyone to, you know, put their best foot forward and see how you go. Good luck.
And Shona, can I say thank
Yes.
you? Thank you to the Walkley Foundation and you and your staff for supporting this scholarship, because I think it's really gone from strength to strength. And who wouldn't want a scholarship through the most prestigious journalism institution in the country, if not in the Southern Hemisphere? So there you go.
Thank you, Anita. It's a privilege.
The world, Anita.
The world, yes. The world.
Yeah, the world, the world.
Possibly the universe. I saw
Yeah.
a contract with the word the universe in yesterday. So this is a universally amazing opportunity. So I'd like to say thank you for everyone who joined us, and look forward to seeing your applications in the hopper.
I'm looking forward to reading them and going, wow.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for turning up and watching.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Amelia. Thank you.
Bye.